That was very fun. There we are. Thank you. Nietszche.
Hello there. My name is Nietszche. Dragged myself off my sick bed to be here tonight. I've got the flu. It was just man flu, but my wife's got it, so it's been upgraded. So there you go. Because I've been ill, I've spent a lot of the last week, I've been indoors, I've been watching a lot of movies. I'm a bit of a history buff, so like most of the films I watch, they tend to be like historical films based on real events, based on fact, you might say. I don't know why I bother. I'm a bit of a nightmare to watch these films with. I spend the whole time going, well, that didn't happen then, this didn't happen then, he wasn't around then, she certainly didn't do that. What the hell's going on? The worst of those films that I've seen lately is a film called U-571. Don't know if anyone else has seen it. It's a film set in the Second World War. It's a film where the US Navy, they capture a Nazi U-boat and they take one of the Enigma machines off it. They crack the Enigma code and they shorten the war by about 12 months. Yay! Lies. All lies. We got the Enigma machine. We cracked it at Bletchley Park. It's our little bit of war glory. It's not yours. Fuck off. It kind of gets on my nerves, and yet I still watch them. I watch The Patriot. That's a film set in the American War of Independence. I don't know if you know, but the British Army in the American War of Independence, it was mainly made up of German mercenaries, thanks to our German king, George III. You watch that film, every single British soldier is a cut-glass RP accented, sadistic, sodomitic nut job. And maybe I shouldn't take it too seriously. I mean, it's a film made by Mel Gibson. He was probably pissed out of his head when he made it. Right? Chances are people just told him that the British were all Jews and that's all he needed to get going on. But I don't like it. All this Stalinist rewriting of history, surely that's Stalin's job. I mean, why are Hollywood getting involved in this? Why are they trying to, rewrite history to make it seem that everything America's ever done has been completely wonderful? People are going to start falling for it and get suckered by it. David Cameron did. He went to America, he made a speech saying that we were the junior partner to the USA in World War II in 1940. The year before America entered World War II. I mean, for fuck's sake! It just boils my piss. This is a nation who already have a sense of manifest destiny. Don't encourage them! For God's sake, look at what they've done in the past few years. They spend all their time kind of picking on smaller countries for their natural resources. For Afghanistan with the natural gas, Iraq for the oil, Iran for the oil, Scotland for the oil. There's one laugh, maybe one guy's heard of it, I don't know. Did you hear that America's really down on Scotland now? I'm not saying that America's planning an invasion, but if you look at the past history, they have got home for it. They're not very pleased because Scotland released a guy called Mohammed al-Megrahi, who was the Lockerbie bomber. Now, they released him as an act of compassion. The guy had cancer, so they let him go on compassionate grounds, and the selfish bastard has refused to die ever since. America's not very happy at all about this. They're absolutely furious. There's all these senators going, oh, that's terrible, he's a terrorist. I'm quoting that from actual Senate records as well. No, what they actually said was that the release of al-Megrahi wasn't on compassionate grounds. It was to help facilitate an oil deal between Scotland and BP to try and get Libyan oil. And they, the American Senate, don't approve of dirty underhand deals to get hold of oil because it cheapens human lives. Really? Seriously? Isn't that like being told to put your tits away by Katie Price? It just doesn't really sort of kind of add up to me. And happily, Scotland have given them a resounding, you can fuck off, in response. Even the Catholic Archbishop of Scotland got in on the act, although he was a bit more kind of moderate about it. He made a speech saying that America is far too obsessed with vengeance, that it should be focusing more on forgiveness, which is a very beautiful sentiment, I think. can't help maybe thinking that, as a senior representative of the Catholic Church, he's got some reasons of his own for wanting people to think along a more forgiving kind of line, maybe. The Pope's trying it as well. When he came over, he made some very nice statements that were very well received by everybody. But then he kind of goes and ruins it. The Pope also said that the ordination of women priests is a grievous sin on a par with child abuse. Is it, Benedict? Is it really? Is getting like a little white dog collar, just, putting it around a woman's neck and saying, all right, you're a priest now, is that as bad as child abuse? Genuinely, I'm not sure it is. Not that I'm not actually too fussed about the whole Catholic Church child abuse thing. For my money, they didn't go far enough. To explain that, I'm an existentialist. To boil that down, people are the sum of their experiences. If you abuse and hurt a child, that child will grow up to abuse and hurt others. What I'm basically saying is that if you're going to fuck kids, fuck them to death, all right? That way, I won't have to deal with the vicious little bastards in later years. That's just the way it works. But, I don't know, the Catholic Church, they make these statements, and I find it difficult to take them seriously, especially when they're talking about sex. They say that they're the great keepers of the unknown and the unknowable of all biblical mysteries. But when they talk about sex, they sound a bit like a year 8 kid after his first sex education lesson, talking to a bunch of year 7 kids and trying to tell them what he's half remembered. They're always kind of like, sex. Sex is when a man and a woman, they go in a room and the woman takes all her clothes off. But they shouldn't wear condoms. Don't wear condoms because condoms have got little holes in them and they let the AIDS through. Yeah, and gay men. No, gay men shouldn't have sex. No, because the gay man, the one gay man has a poo and then the other gay man eats it and that's how gay men have babies. You're laughing, but at least one of those things I said does represent actual Catholic thought on these things at the moment. So it's kind of worrying. And I wonder how they convince all these people to still believe them. And I think it's because the church encouraged people to turn away from the world, turn away from that which is earthly, and focus on that which is spiritual, which I kind of think's awful. I mean, there's a lot of beauty and wonder in the world. Can you imagine deliberately telling people not to think about that, not to focus on all that beauty? I'll tell you something beautiful I heard the other day. I was in a supermarket. I overheard a woman say to her husband, "Hey, Luke, do you remember the time I farted on your balls?" That's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. It's just fantastic. It raises a few questions. I mean, there's the mechanics of it. How exactly did she fart on his balls? Was it a kind of a sneaky, well, there you go. Did she plan it out? Was it an accident? I don't know. And the second main thing that I worried about was the phrasing of that question. Do you remember the time I farted on your balls? If my wife farted on my balls, I would think and speak of very little else ever. It's all I would be going on about. I would have done a whole 10-minute set here just about farting on balls instead of just finishing with it. You've all been very lovely. I've been dear Nietszche. Thank you.
Nietszche. Martin. Now, what's funnier than flying?